Now you should be at the top of the mountain, ready for a walk on the Mary Bowerman Loop. The total distance is less than a mile. The first 0.2 of a mile are wheelchair accessible. We're starting here because it's a great place to get a taste of the dazzling diversity on this one little peak.
So you have about 841 species of plants, and that makes up about 10% of the California flora, which is just astonishing to go to a place where you're just looking at the peak and the slopes of Mount Diablo and it's got 10% of California's flora. That's enough to make any botanist get excited.
Though only 3,849 feet high, Mount Diablo has lush north-facing slopes and drier south-facing slopes. It's warmer at the bottom and colder at the top. And it's also a convergence zone.
So you have a few different botanical regions coming together at Mount Diablo. You've got the South Coast Range, you've got the North Coast Range, you've got the coastal environments from the bay and the fog coming into the west side, and then you've got the Central Valley and desert influence from the interior part. But then you also have some species that come in from the Sierra foothills. So there's a couple things like delphiniums and others that jump the Central Valley and actually hit the mountain and live there. But because of that convergence zone, it's super rich. But it's not only that, it's the limits of plant ranges that reach Mount Diablo. So you've got a number of plant species that come up from the south and don't go any further north, and they stop there like coulter pines. And then you've got a number of species that come from the north and stop in their southernmost extent of their range at Mount Diablo, like the common manzanita.
And then there are the species that grow here and nowhere else on the planet, the endemics.
There's some unique plant species that grow on Mount Diablo and nowhere else, like the bird's beak and the jewel flower. Mount Diablo fairy lantern, although it seems like a weed out there, it really only grows at Diablo and in Briones and Black Diamond, and that's it. And so that's part of the reason why so many botanists and casual observers love the mountain for its wildflowers, because you get to see such unique species out there. Those experiences make it special.
The Mary Bowerman Trail, also called the Fire Interpretive Trail, was built just as the mountain was recovering from a major fire in 1977. That fire incinerated most of the mountain's north side, from Clayton to the summit and North and Eagle Peaks, including Donner, Back, and Mitchell Canyons. East Bay Regional Park District General Manager Robert Doyle, who was living in the park at the time, recalls walls of flames over 50 feet high and exploding pine trees. To the east and south are slopes that burned more recently in the Morgan Fire of 2013. North Peak's thick cloak of east side chaparral was incinerated in that fire. For a year or so, the mountain's bones were showing. This particular hike is a perfect place to start understanding the plants that make their living on Mount Diablo, because it's been affected by 2 major fires, and yet it's incredibly rich.
In some ways, it's like a microcosm of the mountain, because you get oak woodlands, you get chaparral, and a little bit of grassland, but then you also get the rock and talus habitats that have some of the most special plants on that part of the mountain. So you get things like claytonias. The flowers look like they have little candy stripes on them. The bitterroots or the lewisias, those are appealing to anyone. They're so beautiful with their tissue paper-like flowers that get deep pink or white.
Probably the rarest thing you might find here, something you wouldn't even hear about unless you're with an expert botanist like Heath, is the rock sanicle.
It's a sanicula or a sanicle that grows on the Mary Bowerman Loop. And if you're walking around in the talus, you'll probably smell it before you see it, because it's got that real carrot family smell to it that's very pungent. And the flowers are small but strikingly yellow. That's probably one of the more special things on the Mary Bowerman Trail that if you have a keen eye and a good sense of smell, that you might be able to see.
Now it's time to start your hike. Park at the Lower Summit parking lot and head up to the Mary Bowerman Trail. We suggest you start the loop on the north side of Summit Road and finish on the south side. After 2/10 of a mile, there's an overlook with great views beside a bench. On the clearest days, that's a good place to see Mount Lassen and Sutter Buttes to the north, and the Sierra Nevada to the east. When you come around toward Devil's Pulpit, don't forget to look for what 20th century botanist Mary Bowerman liked to call the Rock Society plants.